Okay, welcome back. Today I'm going to look at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series as part of my Halloween horror series thing I'm doing. So I've read on Halloween and rare zombie films. This is now the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've still got 2 more to go coming up. I'll be honest, I'm only really going to be covering the original series. The other ones, you know, I'll get to that. Okay, Texas Chainsaw Massacre started out at its peak, and basically the way to run it down is, did Tobe Hooper direct this film is a sign of whether or not you should watch the film. Any Chainsaw Massacre film. If he did not direct it, you don't have to watch it. That's just the way it is. I mean, that's just what's going on. He made the first 2 and then he moved on, and from then on they've been pretty worthless. There's been 2 that I like after that I can't defend as good films, so right, I just like them due to my dubious taste at times, and the rest are total trash. But this is like the series that when we talked about Halloween, it was like a series that started so high and then went down pretty quick, and only come back very recently. Texas Chainsaw Massacre started very well, went down a little bit, and then went down, and it just keeps on going down. There's been no upturn at all. There's been nothing, and I don't see another upturn coming at all, because it's not a franchise. It's not a franchise movie. It's not a franchise subject. It's a horror movie, a one-off horror movie idea that was expanded to a second one, and then they decided to make a franchise when it wasn't a franchise. You didn't even need a second movie. Texas Chainsaw in itself is great. I mean, basically what the idea of it is, there's a family of cannibals in Texas, and they kill people who pass through on the road who won't be missed, and they eat, and they barbecue them and eat the human flesh. That's it. That's the whole thing. Doesn't that sound like a franchise? So the atmosphere of these films is amazing. It's just so. Well, actually the first 2 films is amazing, but very different atmosphere. I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on a new Blu-ray, which is a 4K transfer, and it was put onto the Blu-ray 1080p. So I'm sure there's a good 4K disc of it as well. But even in the Blu-ray, it looks gorgeous. Because this was a film shot in 16mm, it was very low budget, and it was very disturbing, particularly because it's such a low budget. I mean, the opening of it is of this graveyard that someone has been stealing some freshly laid people from the grave, and there's this like open coffin, this skeleton sitting there as an opening figure, and it's like this opening shot, and it's suggestive, and there's just creepy music to it, and suggestive of something horrible is under your skin. It's just ugh. And that's how it starts. Then it tells you it's Chainsaw Massacre, and then we go to a group of the tourists who are coming to Texas to see an old house that 2 of them grew up in. That was a while ago, about 10 years ago, and Texas has got a lot worse since then. It's a lot poorer. The slaughterhouse, which was the big thing, the big area where people could go and get work, is closed down because it's been automated. You know, instead of like hammering these poor cows over the head with stuff, now they just use a kind of gun thing to kill them very quickly, and it means they don't need as many people anymore. So all these people now have been disenfranchised, they're poor, everyone's forgotten about them. Some have moved away and some have just stayed there and have become nothing really in the eyes of anybody who passes by. It's just, these are locals, who cares? Don't have to even recognise them, don't have to even talk to them. They're that kind of situation, and these are sort of richer middle class people come through looking to find this old house. They're looking for gas, they've been driving for a while and the gas hasn't come through, but they go to the house anyway, and before they get to the house, they pick up this hitchhiker who turns out to be a bit of a nutcase, who starts cutting himself and cutting one of the people, who's this guy called Franklin, who's in a wheelchair and who's whiny as hell. So they throw him out, but it's another indication of something's not right here. You're in an area you should get out of as soon as possible. That this is not a good place to be. But they don't pay any attention. They're just, it's not that they're stupid or anything, it's just like there's signs that this is not a great place to be, but in real life you've signs of that everywhere and you'd probably be fine most of the time. And they're just kids, I mean, they cast people who just look like normal kids, like average, very average people. No one's great looking, they're all kind of okay looking. They're average, they're like you and me basically. It's that kind of thing of the people who would disappear in the street if you saw them. There's no one would jump out as a good looking person or anything. But they seem solid enough, and it's like they're okay. They're personality wise they're okay as well. They're not particularly genius or anything, but they're okay. They seem to be okay people. They're very average. You don't get a chance to know that much about them, and that's what's good. It's just this documentary feel of watching them. But if watching people in life, and they're not like trying to advance the plot through these people and have them say dialogue to advance the plot. It's just like, we're going to this house and they discuss like who owned it or stuff the way you would in normal life. Who owned this house we're going to? It's that kind of naturalistic feel to it. But it's just this build up with the hitchhiker. They go to this gas place where there's no gas, and there's just this atmosphere, and this guy sells them barbecue meat, which obviously is, as you find out, he's one of the cannibals, so he's already fed them human meat before they even get him near the place they're going to. So they go there, they mess around for a bit, and decide to go and look for some gas. The two of them, this man and this woman. Okay, so they see this house and think, okay, we're going to go there and get some fuel. Because we don't want to stay here, it's horrible, it's just kind of hell to get out of there. So two of them go, and they just leave everyone else behind. They don't even tell the other people where they're going or why. And they just wander over there to try and find some fuel because they hear some machines going. They go in, there's no one there, there's no one in the garden. They look around, no one there. They yell for people to come and see them, nothing. So one of them goes in the house where Leatherface comes up, clunks on the head, pulls him back into the back of him and closes the door quick. The most brutal murder ever, because it's like so simple, just like 2 hits as if you're hitting a bit of cattle and it goes down. And what's scary about this whole film is the violence is realistic. It's not like, oh, you hit the head, I'll be fine. It's not like hitting the head is going to cause brain damage, means you're going to collapse, and that's you. And then the second one's just to finish off. Then you get dragged down and you're going to get cut up. That's it. That's all you are to these people. You're meat. The girl is watching for him. They doesn't come back out. She yells at him. She goes into the house, finding Leatherface coming after her. He drags her into, she tries to escape. He drags her back to the house and throws her on a hook. And it's done really well because obviously there's special effects involved, but it feels like he just took her on a hook. And then he goes back to the other body and just leaves her hanging there as he deals with the first body. He doesn't care. Man or woman, he doesn't care. You're just meat. That's it. That's what's terrifying about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You're just meat. You don't... anything else, your race, your sex, doesn't matter. You're just meat. And that just sets you off like there's some real problems here. This is going to be very dangerous. So there's now only like 3 of these people left. And one of them decides, okay, I'm going to look for these. It's getting a bit dark, I'll go and look for them. And he says to his girlfriend, you stay here with Franklin, who's just sitting there waiting a lot. So that's what he does. He sees a bit of clothing. He goes over to that house, thinking that's the best place he could have gone to. He sees a bit of clothing, so he knows he went there. He goes inside the house and gets an idea. Oh, this is a very creepy house. Just before he gets killed too. Again, meat. They're just meat. You know, there's a bit where the girl's in the freezer, she comes up Then Leatherface is angry, kills a guy, just puts him back down, closes it. It's like, you're in the fridge, you're dead, shut up. And it's just scary. Just this whole thing is terrifying. This whole house is full of these bones that have been placed in these weird, all human bones have been placed in these weird things, almost as like furniture. It's like these people have evolved into something else. They're not quite, they are human, but their brains have gone in a strange place. They don't feel human, you feel that you're actually going into your dark past, of dark ancestors, and they're still here, and they just don't see as anything other than prey. So it's really disturbing. And it's not scary because of any massive camera tricks, it's scary because of the atmosphere and the just simple view of violence as violence makes you dead quick. That's it. You know, if you get shot, you're going to die. If you get hit by a hammer, you're going to die. You know, and it's going to be pretty quick, and you're going to be terrified. That's it. That's why Texas Chainsaw is scary. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is scary because of that, and that's why it's not a good place for a genre series, because genre relies on heroes, people who can get up from a scrape, they can brush themselves off, and not how unrealistic it is, they can still survive and move on to the next thing. And this thing, no, you get hit a lot, but you're dead. It's just no sympathy for anybody. So you're stuck with two characters left, Sally and Franklin, their brother and sister. Sally said she's going to go and look for the rest of them because it's getting dark. It's getting really dark now. And Franklin does not want to be left alone. He's a bit of a scaredy cat. He's a whiner, and he just doesn't want to be left alone. So she has to push her in that bloody wheelchair, and it's causing her havoc. And of course, as she's doing that, Leatherface just jumps out, and Leatherface just puts a chainsaw right into Franklin, kills him instantly. And I'm sure everyone in the audience was so happy to see that, because he was a pain. And then he starts chasing Sally through the house, then out of the house, and all the way to the gas man's place. Where of course the gas man turns out to be one of them, and he knocks her off the head and puts her in a sack and drives her back to the house, where she's going to be killed and eaten, just like all her friends. And then this is where this film becomes really funny, because the first hour has been pretty scary, it's been pretty intimidating, and the whole atmosphere is like, now you're stuck in the house with these madmen, there's only one person left, and it turns out the hitchhiker is also one of the family, and they've got a grandpa who's barely alive, and he used to be the best killer in this county, and now he's just barely hanging on. And it's just this family that's devolved into this like barbarism. And that's what's terrifying about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She eventually escapes because of the family starts squabbling each other because they can never get on, and they're always arguing and they just hate each other, and like the Leatherface turns out to be like the person who kind of cooks all the meat and is a bit prissy and thinks no one's doing anything for him. Gasman's like the father that always put upon him to like killing people, and Hitchhiker's a psycho who likes killing everybody. And they just hate each other. They're just stuck with each other, just hate each other though. And she uses that to escape. And eventually the hitchhiker gets run over and she escapes. And that's how the family's found. And that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Doesn't that sound like a franchise movie? But it's a wonderful film. It's so well done. It's so disturbing because the characters of the killers are the most defined part of the film. Like, you don't really get to know these victims that well. The only person you get to know all is Franklin, and he's a pain. Even the final girl, she's barely characterised. She's just one of 5 people. And she's only survived because she can run and she can scream. And she's the last person to get to. It's just luck. It's just blind luck that she didn't killed early, and then she's determined to survive after that. I mean, it's just like but you never really get to get a character. It's just like she's a survivor, that's it. And she screams a lot because it's understandable because she's in a nightmare, a weekend nightmare. But all the actual, like the hitchhiker, the gas man, Leatherface, they're all more solidly characterised than any of the victims. Because it's their film. The victims are just there. And that's something that horror movies can't really do. Even the Freddy Krueger films, because of Freddy's personality, they try and push him much more forward because of his personality. But it kind of has to be about the victims. And that became a kind of imbalance in the Freddy films, which I'll get to in another video. In this one, what makes a film work is the thing that makes it not a franchise. And the fact that it's been very unsuccessful as a franchise following this tells you that imbalance just kills any chance. It's also the fact that you need the violence to be realistic to make it work. It just has to be realistic, and you can't really do that in a franchise. You have to find out ways to make the suspense continue, suspense go on, so which means people should be able to survive certain things that they wouldn't survive in real life, which makes all the violence less realistic and less painful. In this one, like, Sally doesn't meet the Sawyer family till halfway through the film, and then she's running for the rest of it. It's relentless because she's always getting chased, but it's not relentless because she has to be clever or anything, it's just because she's the chase, the way it's been shot, and the pure mania of the direction. So we go into the second film, which is a really funny send-up of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it does everything the first film doesn't do. It's really violent, but it's cartoonish. Like, people get chainsaws in their guts and they survive. Like you know, actors overact. It's almost like a send-up of the first film. Because the first film was funny with the family, but no one seemed to get it because they're so traumatised by it. The second one, that's pushed up, and it's basically about it's a metaphor for the 80s and greed is good and stuff, where the Sawyer family, having disappeared in the first one, are now basically selling top class barbecue with a secret ingredient, which obviously is people. And they now travel around rather than sticking to one war room where they can get easily caught. They travel around and they kill people as they go, and they use them for food, and they've now got a really successful company, so they're selling people, bits of other people back to them as part of a special barbecue. You know, they're making money off it. And it starts by them killing these two yuppies who are on the phone with a DJ at the time, and then suddenly he hears all these screams of these two scummy yuppies getting killed as they get a chainsaw through the head from Leatherface as they're driving. And that tells you everything you need to know. It's a send-up. This film sends up the original. It does not care about reality. And it's wonderful, and it goes on and on. I mean, the second half is unrelenting because it has the same thing of people getting chased through a certain location, but it's not serious. So it's showing you up the monotony of it all and how kind of silly it is. And you went Dennis Hopper as a guy trying to track them down, and he's the uncle of Franklin, and he's trying to get revenge, and he's as much a maniac as anyone else. This is Dennis Hopper in the 80s when he's trying to do his comeback. And this was a bit after he got off drugs, but he still looks a maniac. And it's hilarious. It's one of his best performances, actually, because his acting still fits in with the rest of the film. It's just lunacy. And Leatherface falls in love with the DJ who took the call, because she's gorgeous, and he falls in love with her. So Leatherface is in love. It's a different actor playing Leatherface. The original Leatherface is this kind of fat guy, and he's bad teeth, and he seems to be, there's a personality there of someone who's just but he's downtrodden. In this one, he's almost like a teenager who's in love. It's a different actor, there's a different feel to him. You've now got a new character called Chop Top who's got this metal skull in his head. He's almost like a Vietnam veteran. He kind of replaces Hitchhiker. The gas man's now back as a leader of the family, and who's now promoting the company, and he's a public face of the company. And even though they drive around a lot, they do have a base, this place, this old like abandoned theme park that's underground, and that's where they keep all the bodies and things, so that's their base of operation. And that's where the second half takes place as they go there, because the DJ has recordings of the family at work. Obviously the family want those recordings back, and so does Dennis Hopper want the recordings. He wants to find out where they are, so Dennis Hopper actually just waits for them to come and get her, then follows them back to the lair, and that's when he goes after them. And it's a very simple plot. It's not even simple in the first one, but it's really funny because it's about capitalism in the 80s and excess and all the and mindless excess. There's nothing intelligent about it. These are just mindless people. Like the yuppies are mindless. Dennis Hopper's just mindlessly after them. He's after them. He's enough skill to get them, but once he gets there, he's just after revenge, and it's mindless revenge for no reason beyond simple revenge. The family mindless to sell bodies back to people to eat. There's no reason for it. It's just capitalism. It's just mindless capitalism. It's just a wonderful metaphor for like out of control greed and excess, and it's just hilariously funny film. It's kind of a hard film to recommend to people though, because it is, you either in the joke from the first few minutes or you're not. Like, you'll know in the first couple of minutes where you're in this film. When you see the yuppies getting killed by Leatherface and over the top it is, you'll know. If you hate that, don't bother the rest of the film, you're going to hate it. If you like that, you're in for a good time. But it's a very acquired taste. This is the last time I can say with honesty that this is a good film. And the second film is honestly a very eccentric good film. It's very self-indulgent. But it's still made by someone who knows what they're doing. It's just that they're doing something in really bad taste. It didn't get any better. The thing is, that was the kind of sequel that was kind of despised by the sequel makers of the rest, because it was like, it didn't take it seriously. We're going to take it this more seriously than that. And they didn't get that the joke was up. The series was done. The guy who made the first one saw the joke and sent it up, and he should just quit now. And the Texas 2 now looks really good in comparison to the rest, because it's still made by a guy who got the joke. Texas 3 was the first attempt in making a franchise, and it was a disaster. It was too violent for the late 80s, where there was a lot of censorship, so they had to cut so much of it out. And when you cut out all the violence, there wasn't much left. But I still kind of like this film. It's Viggo Mortensen's in it as one of his early parts. He's one of the new family. Maybe a bit Leatherface still there, but no, everyone else is gone. It's almost like Leatherface has moved to new relatives, and they're living in the backwoods, and they're dealing with their family issues, and they're dealing with new people from the outside coming in who have to get killed. It's a very unmemorable plot. It's just the atmosphere's quite good. It's obviously they're aping the first one, but they can't really be violent, so it feels like very kind of incomprehensible film. It's not that good a film, but it is kind of enjoyable as a tacky little movie. I really like this film, but I can't defend it as a good film. I just like it, but it's not good. It's a guilty pleasure movie. I'm happy to see it's a guilty pleasure movie. But it was murdered by New Line, who did Freddy films, and bought the rights to it, and they just didn't understand what they bought the rights to. They try and make a Freddy film, but with cannibalism, and it just doesn't work at all. So after that, they made there's a fourth one, Texas Chainsaw, the new Next Generation, which has Matthew McConaughey in an early part, and so is same as Renée Zellweger. And they're both fun. I mean, Matthew McConaughey is way over the top, but he's having a lot of fun. Renée Zellweger's a leading lady, and she's doing her best. And it's a very eccentric, self-indulgent film. It's not good, but I really like it. It's really not good. Kim Henkel, who wrote the first one, came back for this one and wrote and directed it. So that was their claim to fame, one of the originators of the series coming back. And it turns out he didn't know what to do with it any more than Tobe Hooper did in the second one. But Tobe Hooper had fun with it, and this one kind of goes in the same direction, but not as much. It's almost like it's too modest to really go balls out crazy, but it lets Matthew McConaughey go balls out crazy. Again, I still like it, even though it's not a good film. It's not a guilty pleasure movie. And that's as far as the series goes for me for being enjoyable. After that, I never saw anything I liked. So after that, you had the remake, the Michael Bay produced remake, with all these, Jessica Biel's a lead, Lee Ermey is one of the villains, and Leatherface. And it's pretty soulless. I mean, it's shot the same DP as the original, but now it's shot with all these filters, and everything seems very grey and dull. You don't. All these characters try to make it likeable, but they're just like these models who are horrible, and you just want to see them die, and you don't like any of them. And it's like, well, there's no tension. I don't like the family in this one because they're kind of dull. I try and make them interesting, but they're not making them interesting in any good way. It's just like they're trying to give them scenes. They see all these poor families, well, they were done badly, but they went mad. And you don't feel sympathy for that. You always feel sympathy for the people who are getting killed because they're just gits. And I don't feel like normal people, I just feel like models who are suddenly in Texas for some reason. So they're always posing. Even when they die, they seem to be posing. So it's horrible. It's a horrible film there. But it's still better than the prequel they did after that. They did a prequel to the remake, Texas Chainsaw the Beginning, which is even worse because it's really incomprehensible, and I can barely remember it because I was actually falling asleep watching it because it was so boring. It was just so dull and lifeless, and I really had a hard time remembering anything that happened in it. It just felt like they didn't understand what Texas Chainsaw was in the original, and then they doubled down all the worst parts possible, like the models, just the lighting style, and it was just such a tedious film. So 2 terrible films with Platinum Dunes, and that's when I kind of gave up. There's been 2 other films since then that I've not watched. There's Texas Chainsaw 3D, which I heard was garbage. I picked it up and I thought, nah, I picked it up for £1 and I thought, life's too short. Never bothered. And I did another one, Leatherface, with Stephen Dorff in it, which is apparently better than the Texas Chainsaw movie, but not that good either. So I never bothered because it just felt like, even the trailers, you could tell they were being made by people who were going into the same mistakes as the Michael Bay produced ones, which you had these models going to Texas and getting chased by Leatherface. And that's not scary, that's just these idiots getting killed. It's not scary at all, I'm just not interested. Because the only way it's interesting if it feels real, like if people are getting killed by 1 or 2 little things, that's it. And it's scary because they're jerking around and all the rest of it, and it's terrifying because of the atmosphere. If you're too scared to do the atmosphere, just try and make it look nice and have all these people with makeup on, what's the point? So I just gave up. I'm hoping someone makes a good film out of it, but probably not. I think it's now in the realm of the exploiters who couldn't care less, they just want the title, they don't understand what makes the original work. I guess now it's now been influenced by the remake rather than the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the remake got it all wrong, so they're taking stuff from a remake that didn't understand the material, and they're making those same mistakes again. So it's pretty worthless sequels and a pretty worthless series now. So stick to the first 2. If you're feeling more curious, go to 3 and 4, and then just stop, because that's the best you're going to get. And after 3 and 4 you wonder, that's the best I'm getting after the first 2. Yep, it is. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is my take on Texas Chainsaw. I'll have another horror series next week, and I'll be back tomorrow with the final video of the week, all about eccentric actors. Right, goodbye.